you talk about the crisis of belonging and this idea that sometimes people feel like even though they do belong in the community and they are welcome in the community, they don't know that or they don't feel that inside, or they almost have like this sort of imposter syndrome about that, and that these symbols and tokens can do a lot to alleviate that. Talk a little bit more about that.
Well, when they're missing, Seth, it can be very confusing to people. Are they really an insider? And I'll give you an example. When my wife and I moved to the West Coast after graduate school, and we were looking for a church to be a part of, and we were attending a very large church in the San Francisco area. We hadn't formally been part of a church for years because I had been studying a religion at graduate school, and so was really deeply involved in spiritual studies and didn't need more of that on the weekends. And I was really excited to then become a member, or at least explore membership. And this church didn't have a very sophisticated way of doing that. They invited us to go to this room on the grounds and literally fill out a card that I think was a 3x5 card that asked for our name and like our number. And then once we filled it out, someone said, okay, well, you're a member. And I just remember noting how lame that was. There was just no welcome. There was no sense that I was invited to something new, or there was acknowledgement that this was a commitment we were making to participate and contribute, to live out a sense of community with other people who were participating. It was literally just filling out a little form. We weren't looking for something grand, but if you could imagine, if there was just exchange of words of meaning between an elder in the church and us, if there was a token that was given to us that acknowledged that we had spent time considering what we were doing and wanted to participate more, if there was a series of events, even once a month, that said, here's a new member series that we have so you can learn about the history of the church or how it's structured and how you can get involved, that would make a profound difference. When we want others to feel really connected to us after they've considered and thought, wow, I want to grow with you in whatever that way is, educationally, athletically, politically, civically, we want them to recognize that we recognize that this is a commitment on their part at some level, and that after they've committed at whatever level they are, that something has changed. And so providing them some kind of token, it doesn't have to be valuable. It can even be profoundly symbolic. It could be, for example, it's an athletic event and you're going to be wearing bandanas when you're hiking. That's a perfectly good symbol. Just something that reminds them that there's a connection there.
It's a signal to the world and to the person. And yeah, I don't know why I thought of this as you were speaking. One of my favorite movies is Ocean 11, the remake with George Clooney and Brad Pitt. And I'll never forget listening to the DVD commentary. And the whole idea is it's a heist film. And the first half of the heist film is them kind of practicing and working out how they're going to do the heist. And then they actually start the heist. And I'll never forget Doug Lyman in the DVD commentary saying, we realized that there was a scene missing, and it was a small scene. It was just a scene that said, we've moved. We're no longer in the practice run and setting up for this heist. The heist is now beginning. And so they went back and they shot this maybe 5-second scene with Carl Reiner where he's just like, yep, okay, let's go. And I feel like in some ways that's kind of an analogy to what you're talking about, where there is this moment, this initiation where you go, okay, yep, you're done visiting, now you're in, and let's go. And you need a scene or a symbol or a token or something that says, yeah, it's on, this is happening.
Yeah, another way to describe the same thing, Seth, is we need a punctuating moment that acknowledges the transition. And when I see it like this, I'm afraid people think that I mean something really grand. People just think rituals need to be, dramatic, and they don't be. And I love the fact that you picked an example where in the narrative that they were trying to tell, it was a 5-second scene, but just indicated, okay, something has changed, and it punctuates the preparation to the execution. You mentioned just a moment ago that the symbol is a sign to the world. It can be a sign to the world. And for example, military insignia are, maybe even a Peace Corps pin is. It doesn't have to be. If I'm part of a swimming group, we talked about swimming groups last time, it could be that you're given a swimming cap once you've agreed to 6 months of training with the group, right? Or you've agreed to pay dues, whatever it is you're with the group. And the rest of the world may not recognize what that swimming cap is. But that transition to swimming cap will remind you when you go swimming or prepare to go swimming that, hey, I'm part of this other group of people that swims, and in some level we're in this together. And that can be enough.